Hey, and welcome to this episode of the Mum Boss Method podcast. Today I'm going to talk to you about taking action and removing barriers. And I'll be honest, this is going to be a little bit of a pep talk episode. And that pep talk is as much for me as it is for you, if I'm completely honest. I'm often asked by my clients and women in my network how they can get motivated, or even how I stay motivated. And the truth is, and if you've been around me for a while, you'll already know what I'm going to say here. Motivation is unreliable. It never shows up when we need it to. It isn't constant. And to be honest, it's a bit like the British weather. So when people ask me about motivation, my answer is always to take action, because with action comes that motivation. But loads of coaches tell you this, and I'm not necessarily telling you something that you don't know. If you don't know this, here's the headline: stop waiting for motivation to come and kick you up the bum. It's not coming. You need to do something instead. Now, recently, I shared an email with some statistics about the free challenge that I ran at the end of June. It was a Healthy Habit Kickstart, and how even though I put in that email, even though 50 women put their hands up to join, and I gave the stats of how many people actually joined and how many people filled in their form and how many people, or women should I say, joined the WhatsApp group. Actually, only 13 of the women that put their hands up actively took part in that Healthy Habit Kickstart. And the subject of that email was take action. If you're on my email list, you will have seen it. If you're not on my email list and you want to join it, then just come and find me on Instagram and I will add you to it. And as I say, the subject of the email was take action, or you have to take action. And the point was to say that you can't just put your name down for something. You have to take the action on that thing to get the results that you want. Okay, so, I can't just buy a loaf of bread and then expect that bread to magically turn into, I'm making this analogy up on the spot, by the way, magically expect that bread to turn into peanut butter and jam on toast. I have to do something with that bread, i.e. put it in the toaster, then spread the peanut butter and spread the jam for it to turn into that, right? So I don't know why I made that up. I got a message back from that email, just one message from the thousands of people that are on my email list, from a lady who was really offended by the email, and she felt that I was being really patronising in my tone. But here's the thing. That email wasn't calling you out, any of you. I'm calling you up, and I want you to think about the difference. I'm not calling you out. I'm not patronising you. I'm not, suggesting anything about you. I'm calling you up. I'm inviting you to take action. I'm calling you up to take the action that you've been promising yourself to take for months or even years. The action that will take you from being stuck where you are now to making the progress towards the things you want to achieve. Not just in health and fitness and in fat loss, but in life in general. And you know what I'm calling myself up to? Because it is really easy for all of us, including me, to stay comfortable and carry on with things the way they are. And to a certain extent, that's what I've been doing for myself at times with certain parts of my life. And because you want to stay comfortable just like I want to stay comfortable, what I've been doing is putting barriers in the way and not looking for solutions around those barriers to achieve the things that I want to do. And maybe you recognise this in yourself, that you're really comfortable where you are, even though it's not really where you want to be, but it doesn't require too much scary change. So there's barriers up in front of you so that you don't take the action because you can't possibly, because of those barriers, right? So you don't look for solutions. So in my situation, my example is my job is very busy, and I was feeling like I had no downtime, no fun time. I wasn't spending as much time with my family and my friends as I wanted to. And that's a vicious circle, because what would end up happening is I'd say yes to things. I'd say yes to going out, yes to spending time with people, whether it's my family, my friends, whatever. Sorry if you just heard my stomach. Lunch is after this podcast recording. And so I'd say yes to things, and some of the things I said yes to I actually really didn't want to do. I just felt guilty that I wasn't doing very much, and so I'd say yes to some things that I really didn't want to do. And then when I was doing those things, whether, you know, things that I'd chosen to do or things I just said, I felt guilty because I wasn't working. And then I'd feel resentful of either having fun or being out and about because I wasn't working. Or sometimes I'd feel resentful of working because actually I wanted to have fun. It was such a messy, vicious circle. But here's the thing, I was creating my own problem because I wasn't doing anything about it. And a really simple example of health to give you, I'm not even talking about fat loss here, I'm talking about health, is you feel exhausted and lacking in energy all of the time. And the answer to that is to exercise and eat nutritious food. But because you feel knackered and low in energy all of the time, you don't exercise and you tell yourself you're too tired, and you don't prep healthy, nutritious food because actually it's just much easier to get a takeaway or to grab a meal deal from the supermarket. So you're in a vicious circle, because the break, the loophole to that is do some exercise and eat nutritious food, but actually the barrier you're putting in your own way is the symptom, is the problem, and it's really hard to see a way out of that. You know, so you're like, oh, well, I'll just carry on the way I am because actually it's just, you know, it's easier to do that than try and break through this tiredness and actually take the action of going and doing a workout and prepping some meals for the week, right? So I've called myself up here. So like I've said, I've been creating my own problem, and I've called myself up and I've started to take the action on the things that I find put to the bottom of the list, procrastinated on, or the things that I just use as an excuse of why I can't do something, right? So I've already started on some of these things and I'm going to share them with you. And then I promise you, when I've shared these with you, I'm going to make the link back to your health and fitness, rather than you just being like, that's great, Chrissy, we've heard lots of your examples about work. So bear with. So the first one I've done is setting some really clear boundaries around my work. And you know what? This could be something that is getting in your way as well. You know, maybe your job is something that you find as a barrier to you not getting done what you want to get done, for you not achieving your goals. So maybe this is something you need to do. Might not look exactly like I've done it, but as a business owner, I'm my own boss, right? Hallelujah. I love it. I decide when I work and when I don't. I don't have to ask permission from anyone to take a day off. And and I don't have a start time. I don't have a time I specifically have to be at this desk. I don't have a time I specifically have to finish work, apart from around, classes and coaching calls and stuff. And that might sound amazing to you. Oh, how nice for you, Chrissy. You don't have a boss. You are your own boss. But the truth is that as a business owner, I am responsible for bringing in my own salary. I'm responsible for making sure I make enough money to pay my bills. I don't just do this because I love it. I do it. I do have bills to pay. I'm not, this isn't a hobby. This is my career. But it is really easy to work every free minute. I don't get holiday pay. I don't get an annual leave allowance. I don't get sick pay. So it would be really easy for me to just work all the time. But just because it's easy, it doesn't mean that's the right thing for me to do. And also taking that attitude of just work whenever I can is going to stop me from doing the other things in my life that I want to do. And also, it's not going to make me the best coach. It's not necessarily going, which is being the best coach that I can be for my clients is really important, because I want them to get the results that they want to get. And I also, that's a huge, I want them to leave me reviews, and I want to grow my business, and I want people to have a great experience with me so that new people will come and let me help them. So it's really important that I have some boundaries around this, right? So I've set some boundaries by using my old iPhone, which has been sat in a drawer for 6 months, because I can never be bothered with those, those things where they say, send us your old phone and we'll send you cash. And you think, yeah, I'm in for 200 quid here. And actually they go, no, there's a scratch. They will give you 20. I can never be bothered, because I think it's more hassle than it's worth. So this phone was just sitting in my drawer. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm going to do something with this. So I've got my old phone. That is now my work phone. That has got my business WhatsApp on it. That's got the app I use with my clients on it. That has got my business email accounts on it. And they have all been removed from my personal phone. And this phone stays at my desk with me. And when I step away from my phone, when I go out for a walk, when I go down to cook dinner, when I go to spend some time with the boys, that phone does not come with me. And like last night, for example, I was done by 6 p.m. The phone stayed on the desk. It got switched off. I did not look at it again for the whole of the evening. And I spent the evening with Tom and Charlie. Now, believe me, when I first did this, I think this is my 3rd week of doing this now, that was hard. I felt the anxiety I felt to not go and check my phone was incredible. I love my job. I love my clients. I want to be available to them all the time to help them. But I will be a better coach for them if I have some downtime. So it's becoming a lot easier now. Like, that phone just goes off as soon as I've finished working, and I don't look at it again. And maybe you could think about what boundaries you need to set around your work. And even if it's not around your work, maybe it's just around your devices, right? Because I already had some boundaries set around my devices. I've got an app that I use that blocks off my social media after 8:30 p.m. and things like that. But I was using the excuse of I need to work, I need to be available to clients. I've realised in the last couple of weeks, the reason I could never concentrate on a TV programme that me and Tom were watching is because I'm constantly checking my phone to see if anyone needs me. Wow, listen to my ego talking there. And all of a sudden, I've been really boundaried with my phone. And so I'm not checking it all the time. And lo and behold, I'm actually concentrating on things. Amazing. Right, my second one is saying no when things don't work for me instead of trying to please people. So this might mean saying no to an invitation to go out somewhere, or saying no when someone asks me to do them a favour or to help them out. And it is really hard to do this. As a people pleaser, this is so hard. But the more I do it, the easier it gets and the better my life feels. And that's not because I've said no to someone. It's because I've respected my own boundaries, my own values, my own time, and held those firm. Okay, and if I think about how this was a barrier to me taking action, I can't do that because I'm doing this for so-and-so. I can't do that because I've said I'll go here with so-and-so. And then the third thing that I've been really strong in implementing is not saying sorry for having any of these boundaries in place or saying no. So here's an example. A client messaged me at 6:30 p.m. on Saturday night, and I didn't see it until about 9:30 a.m. the next morning because it was on my work phone, on my desk, switched off. And I checked my phone on Sunday morning at 9:30. My instinct, as soon as I saw that client had messaged me at 6:30 the previous night, was to apologise for not seeing the message earlier. But nowhere in the work that I do with my clients does it state that I will be on call 24/7. It states I will always endeavour to respond within 24 hours unless I have otherwise let them know I'm going to be unavailable. But I can't be on call 24/7. That's not realistic. If I have to say no to someone, I'll always try and offer an alternative, but I'm not going to say sorry for upholding my values and boundaries. I can't say sorry to that client the next morning for not replying to her because I was spending the evening with my husband. I would be saying, oh, I'm sorry that I have a social life. And I wouldn't expect someone else to either. Now, they're my examples. What does this have to do with taking action on your health, on your fitness, and if you've got fat loss or weight loss goals, or indeed any goals in your life that you might have for yourself? These were some of the things. There is so much more, but I don't want to spend, an hour explaining all of those. But these were some of the things that were getting in the way of me in achieving my goals. These were some of the reasons I couldn't do X, Y, or Z. For example, I might say no to meeting up with a friend, or no to having a family Sunday because I need to work. And then because I was having no time off from work and having no fun, I'm actually not showing up as well at work for my clients. And ultimately, that's not going to help my business. It's also not going to help my family. If I'm not spending any time with Tom or Charlie because I'm constantly working, that does not make for a happy family situation. So how can you apply this to your own life, to your own health, to your own fitness? Firstly, I want you to stop waiting around for motivation to make the change and realise that motivation really doesn't drive anything. If I'd waited for motivation to just come and say, you know what, Chrissy, move everything onto a work phone, set up some really clear boundaries, I would have been waiting for ages, because actually, receiving a message, I don't care what you say, but receiving a message where someone needs your help or they want your advice, that feels good, right? So it feels good. I'm not driven by the motivation to change those things. I'm driven by the sheer desire to achieve my goals, by how my goals make me feel, and by the fact that some of what I do is sheer habit and non-negotiable. It wasn't always. So think about like walking and training, for example. And I was saying this to Tom yesterday, people might think that my job means I spend a lot of time walking and on my feet. It really, really doesn't. I run a boot camp class on a Wednesday morning. I run a boot camp class on a Thursday night, and they're the times when I'm most moving for my job. The rest of the time I'm sat at this desk. So apart from having a dog, walking for me was not something that came super easy or super naturally. And even now with him, it is so easy to put barriers in my way of that. Oh, it's raining, I won't go. Oh, it's too hot, I won't take the dog. You don't have to take the dog, you could still take yourself. Training, I put on my Instagram stories yesterday, I really didn't want to go to the gym yesterday. I really did not want to go. But it's a non-negotiable in my life, and I just drove there and I just went. And that is because I know that after doing that gym workout, I'm going to feel amazing. I know how important getting my steps in every day is for my physical health and my mental health. So they've become a habit now, and my sheer desire to feel good in myself is what keeps me doing those two things, not motivation. But believe me, it would be really easy for me if I don't put boundaries in around my business and my working patterns. It would be really easy for me to say I don't have time to go to the gym. I could quite easily remove all of my gym sessions out of my diary for the whole week and fill that time with work. I could easily do that. There is enough work for me to do, but my desire to feel good after that gym session, my desire to be strong and fit and healthy for as long as I can, my desire to have a bit of time out in nature and walk and not have a needy cocker spaniel nudging me for a walk all day, are bigger than my desire to fill that hour and a half by the time I've driven to and from the gym with more work. So that's the first thing, is stop waiting for the motivation. The second thing is I want you to get really honest with yourself about the barriers you're putting in your own way. So, for example, do you often sign up for things but never follow through with them? Ask yourself why. Make the commitment to sign up for something, even if it's free or it could be paid, and actually take the action. And consider what those barriers are, right? Time's often the biggest one. Work I've talked about as being one. But again, get really honest with yourself about that barrier. If you're using time as a barrier, and ask yourself how true that barrier is, and if there really isn't something that you can do about it. One of my clients this week admitted to falling behind on our July movement challenge and said in her check-in form, if I'm really honest with myself, I just couldn't be bothered. I've told myself I'm too tired or I don't have time. But if I'm really honest with myself, I just can't be bothered. And this is genius because it highlights something really important. If you only do what you feel like doing, you won't get where you want to be. I don't always feel like going to the gym. I honestly don't always feel like teaching my bootcamp classes. Sorry, bootcamp ladies. I honestly don't always feel like running my online coaching calls. Sorry, Last Diet Club members. I love all of these things, but if I told you that I 100% wanted to do them all of the time, I would be lying. It's Wednesday today. I've woken up. I'm really tired. I'm working till 9:30 tonight. I would love to be getting an early night tonight, but it's not going to happen. Does that mean I'm not going to show up and do it? No, of course not. Sometimes we have to do the things that we don't want to do, and what gets us through this is the sheer determination of the promise that we've made ourselves and the fact that we want to achieve that goal. Not motivation, not waiting for that motivation. But in order to get that sheer determination, to get that sheer drive and desire, you need to identify the barriers you are putting up for yourself. You need to call yourself up. And you can even call yourself out if you need to. Identify those barriers, really question, get really objective, get really critical. Are those barriers true? Do I really not have 20 minutes in my day to get outside for a walk? Do I really have to work through my lunch hour every day? Do I really not have the ability to get up 15 minutes earlier and plan my day or do a little workout? Do I really not have an hour on a Sunday to prep some meals for the week just to make life easier for myself, so I'm not spending £4 on a supermarket meal deal this week every day that is not going to satisfy me or help me to hit my nutrition goals? Really question yourself. Do you tell yourself you're going to do that and then go, no, I can't be bothered? Or find another reason not to? Call yourself up, because that's what I'm doing. I'm calling myself up. I'm calling you up to take the action. Stop waiting for the motivation. Identify the barriers you're putting in your way and find ways around them. Find the solutions. Okay, it might not be as simple as having a spare iPhone. There might be a bit more juggling that you need to do, but you can do it if you really want to. So take the action even when you don't feel like it. And you know what? It only has to be a small action, because that's what's going to give you the progress that you want. That's what's going to help you achieve your goals. So not wanting to, but doing it anyway. And taking the attitude of, I can find a solution to this barrier. I can find my way out of this. So there's my little pep talk to myself and to you. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share it. If you want to know how I can help you to get unstuck, check the link in the show notes. Come and find me on Instagram at the Mum Boss Method. And yeah, can't wait to help you. I'm going to go off and smash some goals now. You should too. Bye.